Hello, this is AKA Heather Joy, and you guys have just boarded the lifeboat. All right, before I get started, let me just quickly run through the rules that we have here. The first one, please refrain from talking about politics in the live chat in the comment section. It's a little bit too triggering right now. We'll leave that to Tommy. He knows when it's appropriate. The second one, please no overbearing religion. This is not a religious channel. It's fine to say things like I could not have found my sobriety without my faith, or I'm going to pray for you. Those things are fine, but please don't shove your religion down anybody else's throat. Let's see the third one. Please refrain from cursing in the live chat and the comment section. As our captain always says, if you can't control your mouth, then you can't control your life. The fourth one, no trolls. Please. There's no room on this boat for mean people. We come here to lift one another up, support one another. It's a place of hope, a place of light, and there's no place here for being mean. So if you are, I'm going to toss you overboard. That's all there is to it. Anyway, also, if you would please hit that like button and share these videos with anyone that you think that we could help here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I appreciate it. Let me see who we've got here this morning. Blake, Allison, Stacy, CK, Charlie, Allison, Stacy. Let's see, Betty Zoom. Welcome. I don't think I've welcomed you before. It's good to have you here. That's great. Let's see, Seventh, Full of Hope is here. Let's see, anybody else here? I'm sure we will have more as time goes on, but good morning to you guys. I'm glad you're here. Oh, there's Paul Sargent. And there's Misha. Hi. Let's see. All right, guys. Well, today I'm continuing on my search for all of the different things that people like to try and abuse. And today I want to talk about two different herbs. I find these very disturbing. And I'm curious if any of you guys have. Oh wait, let's see. Oh, Annette is here. Bye. You're leaving? You just got here. Let's see. Then we've got Counterfeit God 333. Good morning to you. Good to have you guys here. All right. Let's see. Anyway, okay. I was talking about. I found these two herbs. I have heard about one of them for quite a while, but I never really looked into it. I didn't realize how, what's the word I'm looking for? I never realized how prevalent trying this stuff is. I'm a little shocked with the first one. And if you guys have tried any of these, I would really appreciate it if you put it in the comments. I'm very curious if anybody has tried this stuff, but I don't recommend this at all. The first one, oh, actually hang on here. I prepared pictures. Where did I put them though? Let's see. Aha. The first one, here we go. Hawaiian baby wood rose, or Argyria nervosa. Perhaps I'm never quite sure how to say the scientific names, but it's actually very pretty. And it's the seeds that people use if they use this stuff. It's these right here, but it's a beautiful plant. That the leaves on it have got this heart shape, and the flowers on it are beautiful, and it grows as a vine. And I almost thought that I had this stuff growing in my yard. That, I just moved very recently, and there's a vine growing all over one of the fences, and it's got these heart-shaped leaves, but I haven't seen, the blossoms. I haven't seen any blossoms on it. So I with the where I live, I don't think it could survive the winter, but anyway, I'm not sure what I have growing out there. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about this one. Um, it's very prevalent as far as who tries this stuff. Lots of adolescents. This one is a hallucinogenic. Kind of, I guess it would be put in the delirium class, because delirium is definitely a side effect of this stuff. Um, Now the seeds, like I said, it's the seeds that are used. And hello, baby. Oh, here's my kitty. Come on, hurry. Come here. You're interrupting. Just come over here. Sit down, okay? There you go. Sit down, okay? There you go. You sit. Sit down. Come on. There we go. Anyway, sorry, guys. I just know if I don't put him in my lap right now, he's going to be obnoxious. So let's see. Where was I? Okay, yes. This stuff, structurally, okay, the component in the seeds are structurally very similar to LSD, which is, what is it? Lysergic diethylamide. Diethylamide. Yeah. This stuff is LSA, or ergine, 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 or LSA. It's lysergic amine. Like I said, it's very, they're structurally similar, but the effects definitely are not the same. It definitely has a psychic effect on you, but it is very different from LSD. If anybody is familiar with that one, I am not, but I'm just going by what I'm reading about it. Let's see, this one is very, very sedating. And I was looking through reports of, what people have reported that they've experienced when they have tried this stuff. And some of them, it's so sedating that sometimes people fall asleep and miss, they take it to take a trip and they miss the whole trip. They sleep through the whole thing. But it is very sedating. It's also, the experience is very uncomfortable. It's not pleasant. Let's see. I don't know where to start on this one. It is okay. If any of you have tried scopolamine, it can give you, makes you, from what I've seen in patients, if they have too much of it, you get very restless, you're just very uncomfortable, you're very agitated, lots of anxiety. It's not a pleasant thing. But the thing that I find very troubling about this stuff is that the seeds, you can purchase them online, all over the place, and it's legal to possess them and to sell them. And lots of dumb adolescents try this stuff. Well, lots of older people do too. It's not a good idea, guys. Not at all. Where was that? I didn't write down the country. In one country, this stuff is actually a Schedule 3 controlled substance, and I can't remember. I can't remember where. But anyway, this stuff, apparently it's not an easier or lighter psychedelic experience than LSD, not even. Both of them are in the lysergamide family, but the difference between them really, with this LSA, this, that you get from these woodrow, what is it, the Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds. there's a lot of sedation and couch lock, where very similar to a really strong indica strain of cannabis. If you get the right strain and it gives you couch lock, it doesn't matter what is going on around you. You don't want to move, you don't want to get up, and apparently this stuff can really give you some serious couch lock, um, even paralysis. I'll read you an experience when I'm done explaining this. You'll see what I mean. This is not pleasant stuff. um, but it can really put you in a state where you are lucid dreaming in and out, and it can become very, very confusing. Um, I guess there are other things that are similar to this that people will ingest as well. Would be morning glory seeds. I hate that plant. I don't know if any of you guys have been to a nursery to get plants for your yard, and those plants have been contaminated with morning glory seeds. Pretty soon it is everywhere. It's all over your grass. It's all over. Oh, it's a nightmare. I hate that plant. I can't believe they actually sell the seeds for this stuff. Hate that plant. Anyway, morning glory is similar. Another thing that is similar to this Hawaiian baby wood rose would be something called sleepy grass. I'm not familiar with that one. The other one is ergot fungus, and if uh, ergot is something that it's a fungus that grows on rye. If I is it rye? I believe it's rye, if I remember correctly. But I know that if a crop of rye has been infested with this particular fungus, it will give you hallucinations. It'll give you a lot of the same side effects that this Hawaiian baby wood rose will do. But all of these are they're all tryptamines. It's a class of drugs that I've talked about here before. um, Really, the risk in this stuff, besides the things that it can do to you physically, there's a really big risk that you can have a horrible, just very, very negative trip that will affect your mental well-being, temporarily, sometimes permanently. It's just, you don't want to play with this stuff. I mean, honestly, it's like other things I've talked about in the last few live streams, where people can lose themselves. They can lose their minds on this stuff. It's just not a good idea, you guys. um, Now, the effects of this stuff can last 8 to 12 hours. I can't imagine being locked into a bad trip for 8 to 12 hours. That's crazy. Oh boy. I'm not sure. I couldn't find how long it takes once you ingest this stuff, how long it takes for the effects to come on. I couldn't find anything about that one. But this stuff causes a lot of vasoconstriction. Where the walls of your vessels, the smooth muscle will tighten up, and so it's really going to give a boost to your blood pressure. It's going to mess with your heart rate. It's you don't want to play with this stuff. But that vasoconstriction too, it's going to create, you're going to feel very cold, and it is often very painful, especially in your extremities, your hands and your feet, your fingers, your toes. It can be really painful. Can also, this one sounds miserable to me. Can you imagine pressure in your eyes? That's what, glaucoma, people that have glaucoma, they have an increased internal pressure inside their eyes. It can be very painful. And you guys, eye pain is the worst kind of pain that you can experience. You don't want eye pain, and this stuff can increase the pressure in your eyes, so that's not fun. Of course, with the vasoconstriction, it's going to mess with everything. A lot of people will have tingling in their fingers and their hands and their feet and their toes, that kind of thing. And this stuff does not mix well with any kind of other drug. There are certain drug interactions. I couldn't find which ones. I mean, I didn't have a lot of time. I'm sure if I kept digging, I could find everything I was curious about. But I did see that there are drug interactions with this stuff. It can be fatal. You don't want to mess with this stuff. Um, and then there are some drugs that will intensify the effects, and so if this is giving you a bad trip, and apparently cannabis will intensify it, ew, you don't want to do this. um some of the other effects, definitely some anxiety, paranoia, cold sweats, shivering, clenching of your hands and your jaw. I do that all the time. When I get nervous or upset or something, I clench my jaw and it becomes very painful. But it does that. Of course, there's nausea and vomiting. And I read an account. There was a school, a high school, and it was the policeman that was assigned to the school. And there were some kids who obtained these seeds. My cat's shedding. Yuck. And even there were some kids, some adolescents at this high school that obtained these seeds online, and they shared them. And this officer's explanation of what he witnessed, he said lots of projectile vomiting. Ugh. And all of the kids were sent to the hospital. It does not sound fun, but there's lots of nausea and vomiting with this stuff. And of course, as I said before, it's very sedating. Couch lock is very frequent, so you're going to feel a great deal of heaviness in your body. And with that vasoconstriction that it causes, it's going to mess with your circulation, with your heart rate, with your blood pressure. And if you've already got issues there, this is not a good thing. It can, and can give your heart an arrhythmia where, it's not beating. Your heart should be beating very, very evenly, very constantly. And this can really make it jump around. Not a good thing, you guys. Now, I guess this stuff has, people have known about this stuff for forever. But the furthest back that I could find any reports about it began in the 1960s. And I apparently that's where it started to become popular, about the same time that LSD really started to be pushed. Let's see. Anyway, the dreams that you get from this are notoriously bizarre. Sometimes it's just absolutely horrendous, just frightening beyond anything. Let's see. A lot of people online, I was noticing, reported that this stuff, it's a hellish experience with absolutely no upside at all. So yeah, it just doesn't sound fun. And another thing I have seen a lot online is that people describe it as weaker and worse than LSD. But again, there's some very dangerous drug interactions and death that can occur from this stuff. So, not a good idea. If, it's a really good idea to pay attention. Sorry, my leg's going to sleep. Yeah, it's a really good idea to pay attention. If you have children or grandchildren, especially adolescents, they're not children, their brains aren't completely developed yet. They're not thinking properly. They're not thinking clearly or correctly at all the time. They make dumb mistakes. I remember at that age, I sure did, and I remember, when I was younger, I always felt invincible, like nothing was going to get to me or take me out or affect me at all. I wasn't afraid. And, adolescents are like that. And, they're very prone to doing dumb things like this. So, pay attention. Let me pull that picture up again. Yeah, it's got the seeds on it. This is what the seeds look like. Just take a good look at that. If you ever see that, you're going to want to question your kid. Why do you have this? What exactly is it? What are you doing with it? can potentially be very dangerous. And, if anything, it can harm you. It can definitely harm you, harm your mental health. Not a good thing. Let's see. That one, put this over here. The second one, oh wait, no, I want to read. I wanted to read an account that I found. Here it is. Let me read this to you. This was one person's experience that I found, and I thought this illustrated why not to do it very well. Okay, let's see. This was my first experience with any psychedelic substance. A friend had sold them to me after buying them online, and he assured me that they were safe to ingest. Yeah, no. Anyway, they were safe to ingest and that he had taken precautions to prepare them. I decided to go all out. Pull this down. Let's see. Now I lost my place, so I apologize, guys. Okay, I decided to go all out and eat 13 seeds. Apparently, anywhere between 7 to 9 seeds is a very strong, very heavy dose. 13, not a good idea. Anyway, let's see. I decided to go all out and eat 13 seeds. A very bad idea. This is way above the recommended heavy dose, especially for someone my size. I'm 130 pounds. I was very curious at the time to have an out-of-body experience with the substance, and I figured this would get me there. I chewed the seeds up at about 8 p.m. They have an awful taste, a very strong and earthy taste. I forced the seeds down and waited for the effects to kick in. I'm home alone and laying in bed watching Netflix. Half an hour in, terrible stomach aches suddenly hit me. I forgot to mention, you guys, the reason that this guy is all of a sudden having a horrible stomach ache is the effect of this drug. It's anticholinergic. Anything that is anticholinergic is blocking your neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. That's it's a very important neurotransmitter, both in your central nervous system and your peripheral nervous system. And it's going to cause problems, especially with as much as this guy ingested. So, he's getting the stomach ache from the anticholinergic effect of this drug. Let's see. Terrible stomach ache suddenly hit me, and I am rendered immobile with pain. It felt like more than a stomach ache, like a knife was in my abdomen and was repeatedly stabbing me. No other effect so far than this pain. An hour in, the pain in my stomach starts to fade, and I feel better. I watch TV for a little, and everything seems to be fine. I looked over at my right arm, and my arm fuses into my sheets, and they're connected as one, and it was hard to tell where my sheets ended and my arm began. I remembered that I had taken these psychoactive seeds, and I laughed at the distortion. It was relieving to know that they had started to kick in. And here's where time gets a little hard to keep track of. So the time for the rest of these posts are just estimates. After enjoying the visual regarding my arm, I relax and things start to feel a little foggy. I'm smiling a lot and I feel warm, which is odd to me because of the vasoconstriction. You shouldn't be feeling warm, but you should be getting cold. Anyway, according to him, I'm smiling a lot and I feel warm throughout my entire body and an overall boost in mood. I try to stay up for as long as I can to enjoy my trip, but I eventually pass out, and when I come to, I feel extremely out of it. I assume that it is still night, and I think that I could have been out for 5 minutes or possibly hours. I quickly notice that I am paralyzed. Listen to this, guys. I quickly notice that I am paralyzed. That would terrify me. Can't even imagine. Let's see. I notice that I am. Honey, please sit down. Sit down. Misha, come on. Sit down. You're interrupting, bud. Thank you. Okay. I notice that I am paralyzed for the most part. I feel so weak that I can only slightly move my neck from side to side. That's crazy, guys. That's terrifying right there. In the top of the room, floating in each of the four corners of my bedroom, I notice that I notice what I can only describe to be as oddly shaped creatures I had never seen before. They were each a different color: red, blue, green, and yellow. And they didn't seem. Misha, please sit down, honey. Okay, sit down, bud. They didn't seem to have any bones, and I could never get a good look at their faces. I knew what I was looking at were aliens, so naturally I was terrified. Each of these beings was sitting on a chair and had a desk and a computer they were attending to, all of them floating, desk, chair, and all. Then suddenly, my point of view starts to shift, and before I know it, I'm looking down on my body. I'm laying on my bed. My point of view then shifts to the red bean's computer. Computer monitor. It is playing a game where I am its character. It was like standing behind someone watching them play Sims, and I was their avatar, laying motionless on my bed. I can't really think any thoughts. I was just mesmerized by what I was seeing. I then passed out again. When I woke up, I was in the fetal position in the middle of my bed. My head was on fire. My stomach was about to burst open. I was in agony. Then what I had seen with the alien sets. What I had seen with the alien sets in and the bad thoughts started. It occurred to me that my entire life could be a program made for the entertainment for some other superior being. Everything in existence could be erased, wiped out forever without a warning. If that being playing my game decided to turn off the game, my life felt meaningless, and I fell into a very sudden depression. I didn't want to wake up the next morning because what's the point? There may not even be a tomorrow to wake up for. I contemplated my very existence for quite some time, harder than before. I managed to get up and stumble to the bathroom to prepare to vomit. I dry heave, but no actual vomit. I felt so sick, and I was in the worst mental state I had ever been in. I had ever been in my life. I laid down on the hard tile and begged for my own death. Guys, that's crazy. It would send you that low so quickly. I have never been, and I can't say this word, but it's where you hit your own off button. I've never been that way, and I am generally at a good place mentally. But at the time, I really wished that I was dead. I wanted to be dead so the unbearable pain would end. And because of the mental mind F, I'd just gone through. That I had just gone through. I determined that I'm not going to puke, and I stumbled back to my bed and passed out. I woke up the next morning with a new kind of hangover that puts regular alcohol-induced hangovers to shame. I mostly rested in bed and tried to recover the mental toll. The mental toll does a bad trip. Let's see. I'm not sure what he's trying to say here. The mental toll does. Okay, it was a bad trip. It had on what it had on me still affects me to this day. Almost 3 years later, I have taken great strides to feel normal after going through this experience, but not all the mental scares have filled up all the way. Or scars. Maybe he's trying to say scars. Yeah, I never took the seeds again and don't plan to. This was my only bad trip with any drug and have since had very pleasant experiences with other psychedelic substances. I would stick to regular doses and definitely not take anywhere near 13 seeds. I mean, guys, that's a crazy. I mean, 3 years he's been fighting, you know, what it did to him mentally. That's crazy. And to be, in a state where you are begging for your own death, that's just, or waking up and finding yourself paralyzed. I think just all of that is just crazy to me. But I wanted to read you this account just to let you know, this is definitely not anything to try, and if I honestly believe that there are certain psychedelics, when it's in the proper atmosphere, with the right person, and when you are prepared for it, hallucinogenic psychedelics can be very healing, very, very beneficial. I mean, personally, I've gone through ketamine therapy, and definitely, has a psychedelic effect. But there was so much preparation and time that went into it, and after as well, I found it very, very helpful. But just to do this, just to have an experience, don't please don't do that. Don't do that. This is scary stuff. um let's see. The real too scummy here says, lessons on tripping without a friend. If you never had it before, yeah, you don't do that alone. It's not a good idea. And especially, something like this where it's just doesn't help. And Kelly Gerling's new member, welcome. I'm glad you joined. Let's see. Um Again, the real Tuscany sounds like a Salvia trip. I'm going to be talking about Salvia soon. There are so many things that I'm just shocked how many things are out there that can really mess you up. Um, let's see what else here. Anything else? If I have missed something important, I apologize. Let's see, the second one that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Let me pull this one up. Let's see. Here we go. Datura. I've heard about this one for years. And this stuff is scary. And let's see, this it's also called, this got a lot of other names, but this is the bloom. I think it's beautiful, and apparently at night it's very, very fragrant. And these are the pods, like the fruit of the plant. When they're on the plant, they're green and they're spiky, and then here you can see the seeds that come out of these pods. And it was interesting when my husband and I were in Tennessee. We were doing a Spartan race, and we're running through all kinds of different, we're out in the woods, and this stuff was growing all over. I'd never seen it before, and they had these green spiky fruits hanging there, and I didn't know what they were. And I was asking everybody around me, during the race, I'm like, do you know what that plant is? Because I'm just fascinated with plants, and I love to learn which ones have medicinal value and things like that. And I was asking all these people that were local there, and nobody knew what it was. And now that I have done this, I realized that it was datura. I've seen those pods like very frequently in many places, but for some reason Tennessee really sticks out to me. I remember those. I didn't know what they were, but now I do. Let's see. Anyway, again, this is another one where the seeds are available online, um, all over the place. This stuff is poisonous. This one belongs to the nightshade family, and if you know the properties of nightshade, some of them are not good. um, this one is definitely poisonous. Okay, some of the other common names for this one are Jimson weed or thorn apples, and that's a good description of what the fruit looks like. It really, yeah, green thorn apple, that's a good description. Let's see, another one would be devil's trumpet or devil's weed or hell's bells. So I think these are all good names for this plant. It is highly poisonous, and both the blossoms and the fruit, I mean the seeds, that come in the fruit, those are the parts of the plant that have the psychoactive effects in them, and the poison as well. Let's see, some of the effects of this stuff: respiratory depression. That's not good to start out with. It can give you heart arrhythmias, again, where it can mess up the rhythm of your heart. That it could do that in many ways, but you don't want that. You just, not a good thing. Fever is another one. It's definitely going to cause you to hallucinate, to experience delirium. Another one, this one, because of its anticholinergic effects, can actually kick you into anticholinergic syndrome. It's a very, very dangerous place to be in, because as I explained, any kind of drug or compound, as this stuff does, that blocks acetylcholine, one of those neurotransmitters, that's both in your peripheral nervous system and your central nervous system. If it's blocking neurotransmitters right at the synapse, which it does, and you've got enough of that in you, it's really going to put you in a critical state where you're going to die if you don't have medical assistance. This stuff is dangerous. Now, this stuff has a very interesting history, you guys. This one was fascinating to learn about. Okay, this one has been used as a poison and a hallucinogen, in so many different cultures. I found that, let's see, the Navajo and the Havasupai tribes have used it traditionally, to, I believe, to come in contact with the spirit world. Is their, I believe that's what they use it in traditional ceremonies in that way. Let's see, the Aztecs, there's a lot of stuff written about the Aztecs, and they use this stuff in ritual sacrifice. The Paiute, and this would be the southern Paiute tribes, believe that this stuff can be used to help find lost objects, or missing people, or to find necromancers. That's what I found about it. In Mexico, it's used in occult practices. Let's see. Okay, but see, this one is also, there are non-psychoactive properties in this plant as well that do have medicinal value, and that would be atropine and scopolamine. Atropine is something that they use when a person has bradycardia, when their heart rate is too slow. Atropine can speed that up, can help correct that. Atropine is also used in eye exams when they have got to, I believe it's those, when they put the drops in your eyes so that they can look into your eye and see the back of your retina. They use it for those eye exams, and I hate that stuff. Let's see. Okay, and scopolamine, if any of you have motion sickness, like, let's see, I'm trying to think. It was my mother's husband. They went on a cruise to Alaska a few years ago. And when he gets on boats, he gets seasick. And so he got some scopolamine patches, and they were these tiny little transdermal patches. And he just put one behind his ear. I believe it lasts like 24 hours or something. But it, because of its anticholinergic effects, it helps with nausea and vomiting because it decreases all of the secretions throughout your gastrointestinal tract. It helps control your nausea and vomiting. It's also sometimes used, this scopolamine, post-operative. If you have nausea and vomiting from anesthesia, it can help with that as well. So there are some good things about this plant. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to jump back into some more of the history a little bit. I apologize. I was looking like all over the internet to find things out, so I know this is kind of scattered, and I apologize. Let's see. There are some parts of Europe and India where this stuff has been used. And I don't know if I can say these words again. Okay, red rum. You guys all know what that is back, flip it around, you know what I'm talking about. And the other one, hitting your on off button. It's been, in Europe and India, it's been used for that. And I didn't write down the date. It was I believe it would have been in the last 2 decades. If I remember correctly. But in India, let's see, it was in the place called Agra in India. There were, wait. Oh, yes, okay. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, yes, I did find it. Okay, between 1950 and 1965, so 15 years, the state chemical laboratories in Agra, India, investigated, get this, 2,778 deaths in 15 years. There was like they called themselves the Thugs, and it was kind of a little cult group. They were devotees of that Hindu goddess Kali. I believe she's the one, or is it he? I think it's both he and she, but it's the one that always has the tongue sticking out. They were devotees to that god, and they said that using datura, because of its sedating effect, either outright killed the person or made it easier for them to strangle the victim. And almost 3,000 deaths. Wow, that's crazy. Let's see. Oh, this was interesting too. I found an account where there's a certain, what's the word, species, I guess, of wasp that makes its own honey. And I don't remember where this was, but there have been accounts where these type of wasps that make honey had gone to the datura blossoms, for the nectar, and so the toxins were in the honey, and it poisoned people through the honey. I thought, that's creepy. But you don't. Most people don't eat the honey from wasps. It's usually bees. So stay away from that wasp stuff, guys. That's frightening. Let's see. Again, datura, it's definitely considered a delirium. It produces what they call the anticholinergic delirium, because it's blocking that neurotransmitter acetylcholine. It's going to affect everything. It's going to affect how your body's working, how you're thinking, how you're perceiving things. It's going to mess you up, guys. It really, one of the marked things about this one is it gives you that inability just to distinguish between what is real and what's fantasy. You cannot tell the difference. So some of the let me tell you more about the side effects of this stuff. Bizarre thoughts, hyperthermia, where you've got an increased body temperature, tachycardia, your racing heart rate, bizarre or violent behavior, dry skin, dry mouth, dilated pupils. This is all the anticholinergic effects of this one. Muscle stiffness, urinary retention. A lot of people I saw would complain that they felt they really have to urinate, but they couldn't, or they could only urinate just a little bit. Temporary paralysis, Disrobing, running around naked is very common because of the heat that it brings on. Emotional bluntness, I saw that was described a lot. That emotional bluntness is just emotionally you don't react normal. You are kind of stunted or blunted. Um, let's see, lots of dysphoria, as opposed to euphoria. We all know euphoria feels pretty good. This is the exact opposite stuff. Now, this one I found out, ingesting this stuff, whether it is a tea made from the flower or you're ingesting the seeds, the onset is anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes for this one. It lasts 24 to 48 hours. That's a very long time. But have been reports where it has lasted, where all of these physical effects have lasted 2 weeks or even longer. That's awful. Really good idea. Somebody's taking the stuff that they are hospitalized. This stuff can kill you. If you're hospitalized and you've ingested this stuff, they're going to do gastric lavage. They're going to pump your stomach, and they're going to administer activated charcoal, because that will help to absorb the toxins. Let's see, there's a drug called bisostigmine that they would give you in the hospital, and that reverses the effects of the poison. And then they would give you benzols because you're going to be very agitated. Let's see, I found in, The Pharmacology of Abuse of Cocaine, Ecstasy, and Other Related Designer Drugs. I found it in this publication. This is what it said here about Datura. It said, few substances have received as many severely negative recreational experience reports as has Datura. And from everything I've seen on the internet, yeah, they hit that one. That hit that nail right on the head there. Now, the majority say their experience was extremely unpleasant. Many had severely negative. Extremely. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping around. Extremely unpleasant. It was extremely unpleasant mentally and physically as well. And physically also it's just dangerous. Don't play with this stuff. Now, there is a gentleman from, I believe he was born in 1499. He was born in, let's see, Sahagun, Spain. And his name was Bernardino de Sahagun. He's considered the first anthropologist. And he was a Franciscan friar. So he was one of the fathers that, wears the habit. And he was a missionary priest, and he came from Spain, here to the New World, to what is now Mexico. He worked with the Aztecs, and he wrote extensively. He wrote so many volumes, about his observations about everything when he was there. And it was really cool because he wrote them in Spanish and also in, what was the name of the language? It was the language that the upper class, Aztec society used. But he wrote them, everything that he wrote was in both languages. I thought that was really cool. But this is what he records about Datura. And this was, when he wrote this was about 1569. He says, Datura, about it. He said, it is administered in potions in order to cause harm to those who are objects of hatred. Those who eat it have visions of fearful things. Magicians or those who wish to harm someone administer it in food or drink. This herb is medicinal and is used as a remedy for gout. That's interesting. Ground up and applied to the part affected. So there are some, again, there's apparently some good medicinal properties. I had never heard that until I read that it could help with gout. So that's interesting. But knowing all of the negative effects, I wouldn't want it on my skin, because we all know things can definitely be absorbed through your skin as well. But anyway, that was very interesting. And then there's a German anthropologist. His name was Christian. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Ratch or Ratch. It's an A with those two dots on the top of it. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but he just passed away, I believe, last year. But this is what he said about Datura. He said a mild dosage produces medicinal and healing effects. A moderate dosage produces aphrodisiac effects. That one surprised me. And high dosages are used for shamanic purposes. I just thought that was interesting. Also, you guys, datura is an essential ingredient in Haitian zombie potion. That was interesting. Let's see. And during the anti-witchcraft hysteria that went on, in colonial times, I read that it was considered unlucky or inappropriate to grow datura in your garden, because it was supposed that witches used this to aid their incantations. So, some interesting history about this one. But this one is dangerous. Like I said, the descript or the common names like devil's trumpet, devil's weed, or hell's bells. Yeah, I think that's very appropriate. And there are just horror stories online about the trips, the things that people have experienced with this one. And again, I want to read you another experience with this one. I just want to convince you guys, don't touch the stuff. Don't mess with it, and don't, be on the lookout, if you have children or grandchildren. This is dangerous stuff. Let's see. Let's see, where does this one start? Okay. A friend of ours, let's call him Rich. And then they start calling him Frank. I don't understand. Anyway, okay. Frank brewed a tea from datura flowers that were growing. And it may be, sorry, sometimes it's hard to read these accounts. Anyway, let's see. He had been warned that it was a bad idea. Let me preface this by saying that before he consumed his tea, he was a reasonably rational person, although he was considered somewhat eccentric. I was attending Macquarie University at the same, let's see, I'm sorry, it's hard to read this account. Anyway, okay, something about the tea had been brewed in Sydney, and we lived about 15 miles away. At about 2 a.m. in the morning, he showed up in his underwear at our door, babbling about his mother needing money for a holiday. We looked outside and saw a cab waiting. I went outside. I asked the cabbie what was going on. He told me that our friend hailed him at Hyde Park in the city center and asked to be taken to our place. He'd been babbling incoherently, and the cabbie felt sorry for him. I paid the cabbie for the ride and went inside. He started saying that the living room was his room and that he wanted all the people to leave. Let's see, so he could something, or I don't know, it's not making sense. Let's just say it was nonsense because there are only 3 of us. And okay, thereafter about 60 minutes of babbling, he went into the kitchen where he was talking to the tea tent while shaking his fist violently at the refrigerator. He mysteriously turned and went out the back door and started talking to the orchids. We were considering taking him to the hospital, which they should have done, but led him into a spare bedroom and watched him overnight. He remained in a weird state for at least another 24 hours. A girlfriend took a day off work to watch him. After he stopped babbling, he became very quiet and would not speak to anyone. We later learned, let's see, again, this doesn't make quite sense. Let's see. We learned that he had visited several other people during that night, mysteriously leaving at some point. No one knows how he got to Hyde Park. He did strange things, such as pulling out his penis and investigating it closely for hours, um, pretending to eat and drink things, talking to inanimate objects. The list goes on and on. It was sad. The thing is that after this episode, he became psychotic and refused to talk to anyone for about 2 years of his life. His life was ruined. He wandered around from friend's house to friend's house looking for food and shelter. He effectively became a hobo, disappearing for months on end. And after a few years, he began talking to people and he learned what had happened to him. He was very ashamed, but still remains somewhat psychotic. He has never returned from that holiday. Okay, looks like that was the end of it. But guys, that's terrifying. He lost himself. He lost his mind. He's never been the same. This stuff is so dangerous. I want you guys to understand that. Don't mess with it. If you have children, grandchildren, let them know the dangers of any kind of herb. Herbs can be very powerful medicinally for good or bad. Please let your children know about this stuff. This terrifies me. This stuff has been used, for centuries as a poison. It's not a good thing. Anyway, that is what I have for you guys today. Let me pull up the comments again. Let's see. Oh, Mind Games is here. M. Hunt, hey. Okay, let's see. My best friend ate a handful of datura seeds. Oh, wow. I spent the next 13 hours watching him live a completely separate life with his eyes closed, laying down, only talking ever so often to his hallucinations. Wow. That's crazy. Let's see. James Novak is here. Let's see. Seagull Rock Squat. Glad you are here. Through pain. I like this. Mind Games. So I stopped Oxy after 2 years plus. 2+ years cold turkey. Ouch. Went through about 10 days of hell. Yeah, I bet you did. Have not had any alcohol or Oxy since. Bravo. Darn it. Tommy has that little participation trophy. I have medals. Hang on. All right, guys. I haven't had a chance to hang these up yet. Hang on here. Here is my version, guys. Here's my version of the participation trophy. Mind Games, kudos to you. There's your medal. Let's see. Oh, and we have Jules Mark Davis. Welcome. I'm so glad you are here. Awesome. Let's see who else came in. And Real Two's coming. Did I welcome you? Because you are new to me as well. I am so glad you guys are here. An underwear story. Yeah, a lot of people end up disrobing, don't they? Is Datura canna lily? Not that I know of. Oh, you did? Oh boy, it was miserable after 9 hours. Wow. You're gonna plant some now, John Doe? Oh boy. Joe DeJano is here. Awesome. I'm glad you were here. I haven't seen you in a while. Let's see who else popped in. Anybody that I missed? If I missed you, I apologize. let's see. Don't wait. Did I just see? Yes, Lemmy. Hello, Lemmy. I'm glad you were here. Let's see. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Love it, Kelly Gerling joined. That's awesome. Anyway, well, that's all I have today. I will most likely pop on again sometime today before this evening. And I just realized who asked me last night about getting off of Suboxone. Someone asked, who was it? Asked me, and I just realized I didn't look up all the information. I will still do. I still remembered. I'll get that, and I'll bring it to you later. I know you were in here. I'm trying to remember right now who asked me because I know you're in here. My mind just went. Anyway, you guys, thank you for coming this morning and for joining us here. And this is honestly that's where the magic happens, is in the chat. You guys are so good to one another, and I love this boat. I love you guys. I'm praying for every one of you. Hang in there. I know going without your drug of choice is a difficult thing. I know, but I also know you can do it. If I can overcome my addiction, anybody can. I assure you. And it is so worth it. It really is. Life is beautiful. It really is. I promise you. You guys can do this. Anyway, I will talk to you again very soon. You guys have a beautiful Sunday morning. Or, well, some of you are a bit further into Sunday than we are. But anyway, you guys have a great one. I'll talk to you again soon, okay?